Joseph.
And we're recording again?
Justin and Mike, are you there?
Justin and Mike?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
I'm here.
Okay. Late in the hour. Okay. New business is the transportation coordinator's position. We'd like to change the job description. Do I have a motion to accept the job description? Do I have a
I'll make-
second? Go ahead, who was that?
It's Justin, I'll make the motion.
Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Made and seconded. Any discussion on on this?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
just one question is, was this reviewed by the Director of Services?
Yes.
Okay, all I wanted to know.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Wasn't that easy? Thank you. It carries. Which was the next one was,
Motion to approve the Public Works Director job description.
do I have a motion?
So moved?
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on the position? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? And it carries. That was easy. Okay. Next up is Selectmen's Report. I just want to make a comment here. It's getting late, but I think it's important. DPW, they put a lot of hours in over during the snowstorm duration. I think the Board of Selectmen should recognize an appreciation of the Board of Selectmen of how the Public Works crew did during the storm. Not just Public Works, but outside services and building services, and recognize their dedication to the town of Southbury during this last storm. That was a big storm. I don't know how they get pretty tired, but they did do a pretty good job from what I'm hearing from other people about that. So our hats are off to the Public Works. I just want to say something about, and I don't know if I should or whatever, but there was some talk and post about an individual who came in to help our town, a town in which this individual was born and raised in. And as we try to encourage young people that were raised here in Southbury to come back, when they are named in social media or named out there, it's a little embarrassing for them. They're just trying to help. And I'm speaking about something that was said about my daughter coming in to help the town in which she loves and for generations. It's very easy for these young people to look at this and saying, you've got to be kidding me. And will not want to get involved. So I would just ask, if the public hears this, that we remember that when you put something out on social media, everybody sees it, and it kind of was a little bit upsetting. I want to say that I saw something come out and some posts on Facebook by people in another matter, and I'm going to call for an investigation into this. It appears that there may be some Board of Selectmen members speaking outside of what's being discussed in executive session. So I think I'm going to speak with our town attorney about that and see what it takes to look into that matter and consider what should be done about it. other than that, I think, did we release the budget to the board?
No, tomorrow morning, I had an issue with the Dropbox, so we'll release it tomorrow morning.
Okay, so you'll be getting the budget out tomorrow morning. I had hoped for tonight.
Yeah, we'd hoped tonight, but
I-
unfortunately the Dropbox
I-
there was a storage issue, so I couldn't get it.
I hate drop boxes. So with this hour being close, that's my brief report today. Do you want to go on with the reports from liaisons?
I have a couple questions before we move on. Newbie selectman here. I know we were talking about voting on the interim land use administrator. So, couple of questions as it relates to Public Works. One, wanted to know if, I didn't see a job description for the road foreman. Are we gonna see that soon, since that kinda came out the same time
We
as?
wouldn't be changing that.
Okay, I just didn't know if we were
No,
changing it
we
or not, if we're
wouldn't,
gonna see
no.
anything. And then the other thing is,
Let me back up. What I'm looking to do is I would rather get a public works director in before we do anything with that.
fair,
Right now, we have, just so you know, we have a foreman who is a working foreman who's coordinating and they're working. That's why things are going, they're taking hold. So I think we need to go out for the public works director's position before we foreman.
that's fair. So that kind of brings my question though is, with the resignation of our director, we have someone working temporarily or on the interim. It sounds like that didn't come before the board. Should that have come before the board?
No.
Because
They're just
we're
ru-
doing an interim, we're voting on an
Nobody's in-
interim.
Nobody's interim. They're a foreman, they're putting the jobs out, they're getting it done.
So we don't have anybody running as interim or temporary
I am,
director?
I am.
Okay. And then the other
Along
question.
along with Dan Colton and Claire, we're running Public Works.
Okay. And then the other question I had, and maybe we can have Dan kind of touch on this at the next meeting, is as we kind of have come through now halfway through the fiscal year and have received taxes for January, would it be possible to get an update on where we are, projections for the budget, revenue versus maybe deficits, places that we haven't quite been, just with COVID, I think it's not quite the same as we have been in previous years. I think that would be a nice thing for the board to get as an
Yeah,
update.
Absolutely. The only thing that I don't have yet is the projections next year from the state of Connecticut. For next year's budget, but I give you projections where I think we're gonna be, because I pretty much have those.
Oh, no, I meant in this fiscal year.
Yeah, you
Like,
can
what
have-
have we projected it would be revenue? What have we received, just from the entire budget as a whole?
Absolutely. I can
Yeah.
do that, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions of me, Mike or Justin?
No, thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
No,
Reports from liaisons, George?
Energy Task Force, we saw their presentation, and I don't need to say more about that. Strategic Planning, we also saw their presentation on affordable housing, and we approved 3 new members on the consent agenda. There's still a need for a DEM or an unaffiliated to fill out the roster. I think I mentioned that at the last meeting. I haven't heard anything back from our friends on the DEM side of the aisle. If you have anyone in mind, let us know. The next presentation from the Strategic Plan Commission needs to be scheduled, but I'm not sure what the topic is, so I guess we'll wait until they get back to us on that. There is a preliminary list of questions that Dave Solaz has compiled, and he's one of the members of the SPC who's working on the Southbury Training School property issues. And these questions are intended to go to the state agency, and I forget the name of the agency that does it, but to get some answers. It's a one-time opportunity for us to ask the state questions, and we're finalizing that list of questions. I can circulate it to the board if anybody's interested. If you are, let me know, and I'll get it out to you, and you can take a look at it and add some if you want. Mobile Telecom Task Force, Joe Ruggiero continues his mapping, and he did send an invoice to Dan Colton for his additional cell phone account expenditures. I think, is that okay, Dan? It's okay, yeah. Nothing substantially new to report there. Mr. Edelson made a suggestion to put out an RFP for a cell power on town property in the purchase. That's something we're considering possibly doing, but I'm not sure of the process there, and there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. IT steering, not a lot new to report, although I am getting a lot of feedback from people that want better remote meeting capabilities. I think we heard a public comment from somebody today on that, and I hear it from other people as well. Don't know how easy that is to do. Road study, there's nothing new to report. The police radio task force, an RFP is nearing completion. The target date for release is February 10th. Dan's involved with that, and our emergency management director has been added to the team, and it seems like he's become a natural to be the main point of contact on the project, as he has done to municipal radio upgrades and seems to know the ropes. It seems like a logical option here, and he is actually driving the changes on the RFP. He's been kind of taking that on himself, although Don Antilla and I are working with him on it. Land use admin plan, we saw that, we talked about it. And we had a resolution from Jeff Tinley on abstentions. I think that's worth reading. Hopefully everyone has looked at it, and that's all I got for you.
Selectman Betty?
So none of my groups have met, but I do have an update from EDC, particularly from Kevin. And there are new, even more new business development issues going on, both retail and restaurants at Southbury Plaza, the Green, and other locations. Also seeing a lot of home enterprise applications, which is obviously a sign of the times here with COVID and everything else. EDC and Parks and Rec have teamed up to launch a virtual training called Essentials to Becoming an Entrepreneur. Apparently it's being taught by a local author, Jack Lander. Online permitting implementation is going well, and they are on track for the April launch. And that's it for now.
Selectman Bucksbaum?
My committees haven't met. LEPC meets in a couple weeks, and the historic folks don't meet in February. I just do want to mention, based on the comment, and George mentioned it as part of his report, I did speak to Jeff earlier about potentially working with if it was all right with everybody, the IT director, and maybe trying to come up with a solution to our public comment issue. I started talking to a couple of towns I'm involved with today as to what they do, and maybe we can come up with something to make it happen in a way that's not cumbersome for town staff here, if that's all right.
Yeah, Betsy can't do more things than she's doing behind the screen there, so
So I'm happy to continue that discussion, reaching out to other towns, and then circle back with Dave
Yep.
and see if we can.
Yep, you did approach him. Okay. Selectman Harrison?
Library meets next week, and the EMS committee has met twice in the last 30 days to review the PSA paramedic application. They've continued to, I need to kind of backtrack a little bit for them and just first speak to this is a new committee. They only started about a year ago, and they are in full swing, and it's really exciting to see that. They have they've had some people drop off, some new people come in, but they are firing on all cylinders, truly. And it's incredible to sit through the meetings and listen to the intelligence and everything that they bring to the table for the town. So kudos to them. And witnessing that as they review this application, asking extremely thoughtful questions that reflect their knowledge and skill set within this area and this committee. With that, though, it's taking time, and they're continuing to push this out again to another meeting, not having yet made a decision, but looking forward to closing the loop on this in February.
Do you know, just like curious, I haven't heard, do you know if the additions to the library for COVID protection, are we seeing any are they seeing an increase in the library?
I haven't heard that
Heard
yet,
that?
but
Okay. I'm just wondering.
certainly find out next week.
Emily, so they didn't vote at the last meeting on that PSA thing?
No, some new information was added, or kind of through the question, the Q&A that they had, some additional information was revealed. They felt like more information was warranted. They've requested that information be provided, and they will continue to follow up on this yet again.
Because I sat through some of that meeting as well. Like, it went on a long time. I didn't sit through the whole thing. But I agree with you. These folks are very intense,
Yeah.
very smart people. We're lucky to have people like that in town that are willing to volunteer their time to do this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Selectman Rosen.
Thanks, Jeff. Parks and Rec did meet. There was some discussion about the opening of Ballantyne and the pool for this coming summer, and sort of open questions still about about Edgewood and the future of Ballantyne. So I do think, Jeff, it might make sense for whether it be the chair of the commission, Charlie, or Michael Ganem, to get with you to talk a little bit about that, because I do think that there's some unanswered questions there that the commission certainly wants to start looking at as we look down the road regarding a potential town pool, whether it be the future of Ballantyne or other. There were reports from the various commissioners on the state. It's a regular effort of the state of each park. Updates on areas of need, areas where Public Works might need to come in and support, and reports have been put in, but nothing nothing of note that came out of there. Things seem to be in pretty good shape. Some conversation on bathrooms, which seem to be dating back to my times, and I'm sure well before my time on the Parks and Rec Commission. There was some discussion on budget and the submission, and I made it clear that the budget has not yet been presented to first draft of the budget would be presented after this meeting, likely, as we begin to dive in. And the other thing I do want to mention is just to give a shout out to Luis Mansour, longtime member of our Parks and Rec department, working for the town, who is retired. And I just do want to acknowledge, I had an opportunity to work with her for the time I served on Parks and Rec, both as liaison and on the commission. And I just want to give our gratitude to Luis for her service to the town and the Parks and Rec department. For planning, hasn't met since our last meeting. Region 15 did meet. There was the bulk of the time was spent on a review of their audit from the prior year. They didn't vote on it yet, but that'll be, I think, at the next meeting. There were some new textbooks approved for the curriculum, but those were really some of the highlights. Their next meeting is next Monday, and then they'll start getting into, I think, their budget presentations at their February 22nd meeting, I believe, are their first budget conversations that they'll start having publicly. That's it.
Okay, next under L is any other business. Do we have any other business? Okay, we'll move to M, executive session. That's just on the agenda. It's a placeholder. We're not going to have an executive session at this point. Justin and I have been discussing some of the possibilities of that lot line revision, and I think we will Justin, do you think it's safe to say we'll have something for the next meeting on this?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that'll work. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Go ahead.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
I'll second, third, and fourth that.
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Thank you.
Night all.
Guys, thank you.